Some animals on Earth are so old, they make dinosaurs look recent. They survived asteroid impacts, ice ages, mass extinctions, changing oceans, and millions of years of evolution. But before we begin, one thing has to be clear: these are not the exact same individual animals, and in many cases, not the exact same species. We are talking about ancient animal lineages, creatures whose ancestors go back so far in time that they almost feel like survivors from another planet. Welcome to Peak Selects. Today, we're counting down 10 prehistoric animals that are still alive today. Number 10, sea turtles. Sea turtles may look calm and slow, but their history is anything but ordinary. Their ancestors were already swimming through ancient oceans around the time dinosaurs walked the Earth. For more than 100 million years, sea turtles have kept one of the most successful survival designs in nature: a protective shell, powerful flippers, and the ability to travel huge distances across the ocean. Think about that. The world changed completely. Continents moved, climate shifted, dinosaurs disappeared, but sea turtles kept returning to the beaches, laying eggs, and moving through the sea. They are not the oldest animals on this list, but they are one of the easiest to recognize, and one of the clearest examples of a prehistoric survival story still happening today. Number 9, tuatara. At first glance, the tuatara looks like a normal lizard. But that is misleading. The tuatara is not a true lizard. It is the last living member of an ancient reptile group that once existed alongside the dinosaurs. Its lineage goes back more than 200 million years, and today, it survives only in New Zealand. That makes the tuatara feel almost like a biological time capsule. It has a spiny crest along its back, a slow metabolism, and an unusually long life. Some individuals can live for more than a century. But the most interesting part is this: while most of its ancient relatives disappeared, the tuatara remained. It is not big, it is not flashy, it does not dominate its environment like a predator from a movie. But it survived. And sometimes, survival is more impressive than power. Number 8, lamprey. Now we move to something much stranger. Lampreys are jawless fish, and they look like something from a nightmare. Many species have a round, suction-like mouth filled with small teeth. Instead of biting like a shark, they attach themselves to other fish. But the reason lampreys are on this list is not just because they look strange. It is because their body plan is ancient. Fossil evidence shows that lampreys were already around hundreds of millions of years ago. They existed long before dinosaurs, long before mammals, and long before humans. They come from a time when vertebrate life was still experimenting with basic designs. No jaws, no modern fish face, just a long body, a simple structure, and a survival method that worked for hundreds of millions of years. When you look at a lamprey, you are not just looking at a fish. You are looking at one of the oldest vertebrate designs still alive. Number 7, sturgeon. Sturgeon are often called prehistoric fish, and this name actually makes sense. Their fossil history goes back around 200 million years, which means their ancestors existed during the age of dinosaurs. But unlike many ancient animals, sturgeon can still become huge. Some species can grow longer than a human and live for decades. Their bodies are covered with bony plates instead of normal fish scales, giving them an armored, ancient appearance. They move through rivers and coastal waters almost like living relics. But there is a problem. Despite surviving for millions of years, many sturgeon species are now threatened because of overfishing, habitat loss, and the demand for caviar. That is the brutal part of this story. An animal lineage can survive dinosaurs, climate changes, and mass extinction events, but still struggle against human activity. Number 6, sharks. Sharks are older than trees. That sounds impossible, but it is true. The first sharks evolved more than 400 million years ago, long before dinosaurs appeared. And while modern sharks are not identical to their ancient ancestors, the basic idea has remained extremely successful: a powerful body, sharp senses, replaceable teeth, and a skeleton made mostly of cartilage instead of bone. That is one reason shark fossils are often teeth rather than full skeletons. Their teeth fossilize well, their cartilage does not. For hundreds of millions of years, sharks adapted to different oceans, different prey, and different extinction events. Some became small, some became massive, some became deep-sea hunters, some became fast open-water predators. And then there was Megalodon, one of the largest predators that ever lived. Megalodon is gone, but sharks are still here. They are not primitive failures. They are one of evolution's most durable predator designs. Number 5, coelacanth. For a long time, scientists thought the coelacanth was extinct. It was known from fossils, and it seemed to belong to the distant past. Then, in 1938, a living coelacanth was caught off the coast of South Africa. That discovery shocked the scientific world. Imagine thinking an animal vanished with the dinosaurs, and then suddenly realizing it was still alive in the deep ocean. Coelacanth fossils go back around 420 million years. They have thick, lobed fins, a strange body shape, and a slow-moving deep-sea lifestyle. They are often called living fossils, but that phrase can be misleading. Coelacanths did evolve over time. They were not frozen in history. Still, their survival is extraordinary. They disappeared from the fossil record for tens of millions of years, but they were not truly gone. They were simply hidden, deep in the ocean, away from human eyes, and ancient fish had been surviving the whole time. Number 4. Horseshoe crab. The horseshoe crab looks like it belongs in a prehistoric ocean because it basically does. Its ancestors date back more than 450 million years. That means horseshoe crabs are older than dinosaurs, older than most reptiles, and older than many major groups of animals we know today. Despite the name, they are not true crabs. They are more closely related to spiders and scorpions. Their hard shell, long tail, and alien-looking underside make them one of the most recognizable ancient animals alive. But horseshoe crabs are not just interesting because they are old. Their blue blood has been used in medical testing because it reacts to dangerous bacterial toxins. That made them extremely valuable to humans. But it also created pressure on their populations. So again, we see the same pattern. An animal survives hundreds of millions of years, only to face modern threats in a very short period of time. The horseshoe crab is not just a living fossil. It is a warning. Surviving the past does not guarantee surviving the future. Number 3. Nautilus. The nautilus looks like something designed by nature and mathematics at the same time. Its spiral shell is divided into chambers, and the animal uses those chambers to control buoyancy in the water. That means it can move up and down in the ocean without swimming like a normal fish. Nautilus ancestors go back roughly 500 million years. They existed in ancient seas long before dinosaurs, long before mammals, and long before humans. At one time, nautiloid relatives were major predators in the ocean. Today's nautilus is much quieter. It lives in deeper waters, moves slowly, and hunts with dozens of tentacles. But the basic shell design is still one of the most iconic ancient forms in nature. It is not aggressive like a shark. It is not armored like a horseshoe crab. But visually, it may be one of the strongest reminders that Earth's oceans are full of ancient survivors. Number 2. Jellyfish. Jellyfish are strange because they seem almost too simple to be real animals. They have no brain, no bones, no heart. Their bodies are mostly water. And yet, they are one of the oldest animal groups still around. Fossil jellyfish are rare because soft bodies usually do not fossilize well. But scientists have found jellyfish fossils from more than 500 million years ago. That means jellyfish were already drifting through ancient oceans during the Cambrian period, when animal life was rapidly diversifying. Their survival strategy is completely different from most animals. They do not need armor. They do not need intelligence. They do not need speed in the usual sense. They survive through simplicity, reproduction, and adaptation. Some species can bloom in huge numbers when ocean conditions are right. Some have painful stings. Some live in the deep sea. And some are almost transparent, like ghosts moving through the water. Jellyfish prove that survival is not always about being the strongest. Sometimes, the simplest design is the hardest to erase. Number 1. Sea sponges. At number 1, we have one of the least dramatic-looking animals on Earth. Sea sponges. They do not chase prey. They do not have eyes. They do not have a brain. They do not even look like animals at first. But that is exactly why they are so important. Sponges are among the earliest animals in Earth's history. DNA evidence suggests animals may have evolved around 800 million years ago, and sponges were among the earliest branches of animal life. They survive by filtering water, pulling in tiny particles of food, and living attached to surfaces in the ocean. It sounds simple, but that simplicity is part of the reason they lasted so long. Before dinosaurs, before fish dominated the seas, before forests, before insects, before almost everything we recognize today, sponge-like animals were already part of Earth's story. They are not scary, they are not fast, they are not impressive in the way people usually expect. But in evolutionary terms, they are one of the greatest survivors of all time. So when we talk about ancient animals still alive today, the answer is not always the biggest predator or the most dangerous creature. Sometimes, the oldest survivor is something quiet, simple, and almost invisible. Sea turtles survived the age of dinosaurs. Tuatara outlived their ancient reptile relatives. Lampreys kept an old vertebrate design alive. Sharks ruled oceans before dinosaurs existed. Coelacanths disappeared from our view, but not from the planet. Horseshoe crabs kept crawling through ancient seas. Nautilus carried its spiral shell across 500 million years. Jellyfish survived with almost impossible simplicity. And sponges may connect us to the earliest chapters of animal life itself. Earth has changed again and again, but these animals are still here.